All right, we're recording now. Welcome everybody. Let's go ahead and do a roll call, Nate, if we can.
All right. Nicole Bailey does not look like she's present. Andrea Chiriboga-Flor also does not look like she is present. John Connolly not look like he is here either. Leonard Dittman actually is not on the task force anymore. Oh, this is an old list. That's why he's on there. I'll take him off. Trevor Forbes.
Here.
Okay, thank you. Troy Hill. Doesn't look like he is here. Jim Howes. Also does not look like he is here. Nicole Lawless is not here. She actually emailed me it was yesterday or this morning and let me know she was not going to be attending, which also means we do not have any minutes for the 10/26, our last formal meeting. So we do not have those for today either. But she said she's working on them. Michael Pierce. Looks like he is not present either. Mr. Prunsky, you are here. Thank you. Let's see. Brandon Rich, he just sent that email about an hour ago, said he was not going to be here today. So he is not present. Jeffrey Reister also looks like he is not present. Nathan Riley, that is myself, I am present. And Joanne Rusha, looks like she is not present either. And that's everybody.
All right, awesome. And we'll just approve minutes in January at our next meeting.
Yeah, I'll get with Miss Lawless and let her know that we'll go ahead and just pass that on to the next meeting if that's all right with you.
Yeah, pretty great. So, okay. I suspect my hunch is that we will probably not see a dramatic increase in participation in January. It's kind of the task force was formed, and then there was the towing legislation, and we had kind of the community groups that were represented. And so I think there was a lot of energy, but I don't suspect their energy is going to be maintained. So it may be that we don't have large groups during this next year, but that brings up a question I'm curious about as far as like a core. Like at some point, do we not have enough to like function? Like what if we have 14 members, but 6 people are the only ones who ever show up? Like, can we still proceed, or do we have to have 50%?
Yeah, that's maybe if Mr. Roberts wants to weigh in on that. It is an interesting point that you raised, just because per the statute, our report was due this past November, which we worked through it and we got it submitted on time in accordance with the statute. But there's not really any provision in the statute that I'm aware of that really requires any kind of an ongoing reporting strategy. And so, again, Mr. Roberts, if you want to weigh in on that as well, I think our plan was to continue to do our work and try to get better information and continue to provide recommendations to the commission. But yeah, there's no strict outlining in the statute of what we do beyond that first submission of the report, which is now already done. So you raise a good point.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to bring that up as well. So because we only have three members of the group, we're not at more than 50%. So we can't actually take any formal action. So no motions, that kind of thing. The question that kind of sits out in my mind, and I'll get to your point, Nate, in just a second. The question that sits out in my mind is whether we can even call a meeting with only 3. I think we can, but I'm just not aware of any exclusion or exemption for task forces versus boards and commissions. Those two things are a little different. And Nate, I don't recall, strike that. I don't remember seeing in the statute anything that requires the task force to meet a certain number of times a year. A lot of statutes do. A lot of statutes say this board has to meet 6 times a year. Do we have
actually, yeah, we do. I believe it's no less than 2 times, if I recall. Let me double check that.
Okay.
Hold on.
That's a nice low number. I like that.
Let's see.
Some of my clients have to meet 12 times a year, which means we got to meet in December when most of the board members would prefer just to cancel that time commitment out.
Yeah, there didn't used to be a provision in the statute for that, but they added it, I believe, as part of the House Bill 21-1283 that kind of revamped the task force in regards to membership. So it's 4010.1403 3B. Members shall elect a chair from among the membership. The chair shall set the time and frequency of the task force meetings, except that the task force shall meet no fewer than 2 times per year.
Well said. So yeah,
Nice.
so we don't have to have regular monthly meetings. As long as we get those 2 in a year, we're good.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and I guess as a practical matter too, even with those 2 meetings, if we don't have 150% there, we can have the meeting, but we can't really like vote on it, like really do anything per se.
Right.
So the question becomes like meeting to what end? Right.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, I think we'll just let it play out. Plan on having a monthly meeting starting in January, and if by March it's obvious that like, hey, it's just not there, then twice a year we'll have a meeting, and those, at least from my perspective, like the governor told me to show up for at least 2 meetings a year, so I'm going to do that until the term's ended. If there's nothing going on, that's okay too. We don't need activity just for activity's sake. So we'll see how it plays out. All right, that's all I had. Nate, you said you had some updates or thoughts?
Yeah, I do actually. So I guess, just kind of going off of what we just discussed, I mean, I would still like, even though the statute doesn't specifically outline it, I mean, it seems pretty clear based on the fact that the legislature has amended the towing task force statute under 4010.1403, not just once, but 2 years in a row. With it kind of originating with the House Bill 21-1283, but then subsequently being amended further in House Bill 22-1314. It seems pretty clear they want us to continue to look into this stuff, even though that it's not specifically outlined in the statute. And again, we met the specific statutory provision to provide that report by November 1st of this year, which we did. But at the same time, I think there was still some wanting in the room from some of the membership to continue to look into some of these issues. I would call out Dr. Pierce specifically. I know he had a continued interest, or it seemed like he had a continued interest to go ahead and continue to look into these issues. Obviously, with the statutory crunch timeline to get that report in, we didn't probably get as much detail into the report as we all probably would have liked. But I think it still should be our goal to continue to move forward and do some work. And this is smack dab in the middle of December, so people have things going on in December. We all do. So I don't think it's odd that some people didn't show up today. But at the same time, hopefully there'll be some renewed interest come New Year, and people will jump back in and participate as well. And again, most of the people on this body are representing the governor's office in their respective groups that they're representing, whether it's a particular community or interest group. They have a job to do, and they should continue to do that, and we should definitely encourage them all to continue to do that. So a couple of announcements I had. First off, and I circulated this to the membership in an email after the filing of the report, but it is available if anybody wants to go in and look at it. I'll give you the commission proceeding for where it is. It's currently in, hold on. That's not it. Yeah, it's one of the footnotes in a legislative report I did recently. Let me see if I can find it. I'll find it. Anyway, the other thing I was gonna notice is that we may be having some help coming in kind of on the administration of this particular task force. We got a new FTE as part of House Bill 22-1314, which we hope to be onboarding, if not this month, for sure next month. Who's going to help out with a lot of like the scheduling of the meetings and circulating minutes, doing all that kind of thing. So a lot of the stuff I've kind of been doing up to this point. So just a heads up for that, that we might have somebody else from the commission side helping us out with this. Where is Where is that proceeding number? I know it's here somewhere. Let's see. Part of what, so part of the changes they made to our 403 statute included an expanded legislative report that the commission had to submit to the legislature, kind of outlining various aspects of the towing industry. More importantly, in relationship to non-consensual tows. It took quite a lot of time to get it done, but we did get it done. It was due December 1st, and we submitted it on time.
Oh, so that not necessarily the task force, but you're saying like because we submitted.
Yeah, it's yeah. If you look at 403, the 403 statute, there's two different reports that it references. One is from the commission to the legislature, kind of giving them updates on, like how many complaints were filed involving towing and non-consensual towing, what the commission did in response, how long it took for us to close our investigations, those kinds of things.
Got it.
So we kind of had to sort through. We have a lot of raw data, but it's not always super specific. So it takes a lot of manual sorting to get all that.
So that report has already been submitted to the legislature?
It was submitted on it was due by the 1st.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So, you know what? Hold on. Let me find. Okay, let me try that. Okay. Here it is. So the current commission proceeding that is housing the task force's report, not the commission's, but the task force's recommendations, that report is currently under 22M-0480TO. That is the current proceeding. It's just a repository docket. So it's just basically that was the commission's formal acceptance of that filing. So it's just sitting there. The commission isn't currently doing anything with it. I think it's my understanding that's going to be included in the towing rulemaking once we get it up and running. Is we'll either drag that over, or maybe they'll request that the task force refile it. In which case, the task force will refile it into that new proceeding. So either way, it should end up in that rulemaking. So anyway. Those, I think those are most of the announcements I had. Hold on, let me just make sure. Oh, by the way, as part of the roll call, I forgot Captain Hahn. He's the one who he replaced Leonard Dittman, and I forgot to call him. And he actually replied no to the invite when I first sent it out. So I expected he wouldn't be here. So, one other thing, we do have a responsibility to do so when the task force first got started back in January of this year, one of the first things we did in that first meeting, besides electing the chair and doing all that, is we did an annual training that was provided by the Attorney General's office, where they kind of went over some of the ex parte communications, conflict of interest, kind of talked about the department and what it does, the PUC, what it does, all of those things, just to kind of give everybody a heads up on those types of things. That actually is, if you look at the statute, it's actually an annual training requirement. I'm sure Mr. Roberts is well familiar with that. So we do have to do that again in January. It's something we got to do every year. I figured that would be a good time to also introduce Captain Hahn to that for the first time, since he's our most recent addition just within the last month or two. So anyway, John, Mr. Roberts, is that something you're going to be doing from here on out? We had one of our commission council representatives do it back in January. So now that you're our official AG, is that something you would do moving forward? Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. I can do all the legal parts of it, the conflicts, open meetings. As far as the structure of PUC and departments, things like that, I can toss to you for that if you'd like.
Okay. I'm
not up on that.
Yeah, the training materials are actually up on the Towing Task Force website, so it's all out there for everybody to see anyway. So yeah, if we can just use that same presentation. Let me see how many slides it is. Looks like it's about like 20. Looks like 22. Like 23 or 24 slides, it looks like. And it covers Cora, conflict of interest. Let's see, ex parte, kind of meeting decorum type stuff, open meetings law. Kind of go.
If we have a light attendance in January, I wonder if we should bump that training. Does the statute or whatever you refer to, does that require it to be in January?
I think it just says annually, if I recall.
Okay. So I think maybe we should see. I mean, it would be useless for me to do it if we have this many attend next month.
Okay. Yeah, maybe in the meantime, before our next meeting, you just want to go and look at those materials. Like I said, it's on the website. So if you want to just go there and take a look.
I'll plan on putting that in the agenda in February, because I think that January, after the holidays, people are still kind of out of sorts. And so I'll stick on in February just so we can get as many people as possible.
Okay.
All right. I got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think that's all I had, Trevor. Thank you.
Nate, do you have any feedback from the commission about our report? I was curious about that.
Not really. It is something that we let them know was there, I believe, or I think we did. So they usually are aware of all our new proceedings and stuff. So I'm sure they've probably taken a quick look. I did get asked a question about kind of if we expect, it wasn't from internal to the PUC, it was within the department. And they were asking if there was any expectation that there would be any pushback from the commission on the recommendations. And I, just looking at what the recommendations are, I wouldn't expect there to be too much. But again, I can't speak for the commission. I'm just, talking for as the commission's representative, I guess.
Yeah. Thanks.
Cool. Greg, you go back Gregory or Greg?
Sorry, what?
Do you go back Greg or Greg?
Okay. Greg's fine.
All right, Greg. Yeah. Anything from you? Any thoughts?
No, Nate, you kind of answered it. I was just going to ask where it was, so we kind of know where to look for it. But other than that, are we able to, so since we have the report in and stuff, are we required annually to submit a report?
And that's the thing. The statute doesn't specifically say that. The only thing it said was that there had to be one submitted by the November 1st deadline, which we did that.
Mm-hmm.
That was what we were doing on our last formal meeting back on October 26th, is we were going through that report because it had to be submitted in November per the statute. So we got through all that and we put the report together, and I think we all kind of wished it had included a little more, but I think again, that's why I'm hopeful that the task force will continue to pursue and go down some of these alleys that we've discussed previously, because I do think there's more work to do, and it seems pretty clear the legislature wants us doing it. It's just not specifically outlined in the statute beyond that first report.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was curious if we're going to keep looking at it and kind of evaluating what it looks like.
Yeah, and if we do decide to, so again, we don't have a statute requirement to submit any more reports, but if we, as a task force, do decide to, one nice thing is we could be more focused. In this last report, it was very clear. Some of the stuff maybe did or didn't make sense for us to submit, but we had to, right? It had to be in the report. And now we can kind of craft the agenda according to kind of what we as a task force think is more important. So we have more flexibility in what we submit in the future if we choose to.
And when you say flexibility, does that mean would we be able to look into that most recent legislation that came out with all the changes and all the non-consensual codes?
I think, unfortunately, the answer is mostly no, unless it involves rates. Because the statute does pretty clearly define that we're only kind of supposed to talk about rates. I think that probably was not necessarily the intent, but at the end of the day, that's what's in the statute. And so, unfortunately, it'll be fairly constrained. I think that's kind of one of the problems, but it is what it is once you constrain yourself to just that, it's at a certain point, you're just kind of okay, I don't know what else to talk about. It kind of is what it is, because there's other issues, right? Especially that impact law enforcement. If the rates go down a couple of dollars, or up a couple of dollars, doesn't really matter to you guys, but there are things about non-consensual towing that law enforcement does really care about.
Right.
Unfortunately, we won't be able to address that, but maybe we can get a lawmaker to adjust that for us one day.
Yeah, because didn't we talk earlier in the year about trying to open up what we could actually look into and offer recommendations? Yeah,
I did. There are, I will say, just outside of my what's the word? My responsibilities here in the task force. There's a couple lawmakers that are open to adjusting some things given how large the last bill was and how kind of expansive and maybe not as helpful as someone like it was. And so in those discussions, I plan on just bringing it up and say, hey, just might not be a bad idea for the task force to, have a little bit more leeway in what we kind of talked about, discuss, and depending on where we fall on the priority list for the legislature, they may or may not be interested in entertaining that.
Yeah.
So cool. Actually, I got a question for you, Nate. One thing actually in the statute is that PUC can ask us about cases. Do you foresee that ever happening?
I mean, I suppose it's possible. I think from the commission standpoint, we have rules under. It's both. I mean, obviously, we have the 6511 rule that outlines all the different fees that can be charged. We also draft all the current rates on our website. Based on the annual inflation adjustments, which we're going to have another one coming up here in just a few months. To do again in March. So that'll be the next one. We did one this previous March, as I'm sure you remember. The way we have our fine schedule laid out is we have fine schedules for overcharges or for improper charges. And basically, it's all tied to the amount of the overcharge. So if you have something that is, I believe it's $25.
I lost Nate.
You lost Nate. I think he was about to get something really good too.
I know. I was trying to hold my breath.
Yeah, I'm on the fence now.
Yeah, we'll give him a minute or two. There he goes. He's back.
Sometimes when I'm clicking within screens, for some reason these shut down. I don't know why it happens. But anyway, I was trying to pull up a copy of our rules. That's why I was jumping between screens. But yeah, basically, it's all contingent on the amount of the overcharge or the improper charge, whatever that might be. So, and that's all outlined in our rule. I believe it's 6514. Let's see. Let me get there. Okay, so for 6514, specifically 6514B, it says a violation of paragraphs A, B, C, E, F, H, or I of Rule 6511, which is like all the 6511 codes, may result in an assessment of a civil penalty as follows for each violation. So it's a $275 fine for an overcharge, a proven overcharge of $25 or less. If it is greater than $25 but less than or equal to $150, then that CPAN, the fine increases from $275 to $550. And then for overcharges greater than $150, then it jumps up to an $1,100 fine. So that's how we currently do it. And I actually was just talking to one of my investigators the other day on a case where there was an overcharge as it pertains to that case, and they wanted to make sure they were citing the correct violation. And that's exactly how I explained it to them. As I said, it's going to depend on how much the overcharge was. How much was the overcharge? And they told me, I think it was like $120. And I said, okay, then that is in that middle range. So I said it's going to be a $550 fine schedule. So that's how we currently have it broken out. I think if the task force had particular feelings about that, like they thought maybe the overcharge range should be less than it is currently outlined in rule, I think the commission would be open to hearing that and any potential alternatives to how it's currently structured. But yeah, that's pretty much how it works now. Is if we see an overcharge, we log it, and again, if it's the towing carrier's first time, sometimes they get a warning first. We might not go straight to fine, and so we might give them a warning, and then if we see another one in the future, sometimes we'll go to a fine instead. And yeah, again, that's the framework that we use. Again, it's all based on the total amount, the dollar amount of the overcharge.
Oh, because when it lists, they could ask us. It's only related to overcharges. It's not like just fines in general. It's that specific type of. That was
my understanding. Just because it's linked to the fees. That's why I thought it was structured that way in the statute.
Yeah, that's right. Because I remember reading it was a little randomly confined. Okay. So, all right.
Yeah.
Good. All right. That's all I got, folks. Any parting words before we adjourn?
I got nothing other than
meeting
Nate, if
and
I could
Jane, we're
grab
gonna
you.
stick to
Sorry, everybody's freezing. But Nate, if I could grab you after we're done recording, I just got a other question not related to this.
Yeah, sure. Did you have anything else to add, Mr. Roberts? Anything we're missing or any other comments as we move forward into the new year?
No, I think we're all good. Thanks, Nate.
I'll send I'll send out announcement. We're just keeping the same schedule, the second Tuesday, or I'm sorry, second Wednesday of January, and I'll send it out to everyone. I'll probably send out a reminder email as well, Nate, a couple days before, just to maybe get a little more participation.
So that would be the 11th
Uh,
of January.
yeah,
So that's fine. I'll go ahead and get that appointment sent out.
perfect. Okay.
And
All right, folks.
If you guys want to ensure some like better participation next time, you could put something in there that if you don't attend, that the law requires that we talk about you.
And it's recorded for everybody to see.
That's right.
Yep, we're very transparent here on the Towing Task Force. So these
That's it.
these recordings
Transparency.
are available on the website for anybody to see and look at and laugh at as they see fit.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, tell him Mr. Roberts is going to personally report to the governor.
Yeah, that'll work too.
I'm sure the governor is quite concerned about who's at the zoning task force meeting. All right. All right, guys.
Oh yeah, with everything else that's on his plate, I'm sure he's focused in on what we're doing.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, hey, have a good holiday break. Stay safe, and we'll see you all in about a month.
Take it easy.
Good to see you. Have a good holiday.
Yeah. Thank you. Hold on. Let me stop the recording here real quick. One moment, please.